is, we're talking about, are we going to see an Asian player play for England? And yes, we are. It's inevitable, hopefully someday very soon. But what I want people not to forget is football isn't just a Premier League in England. We have 92 teams that make up the English Football League. And if you play for a Northampton or a Dagenham or Redbridge or in a National League or play for a League One side, that's still a success story, because the chances of even doing that are slim.
Yeah.
And good luck to the previous caller with his son. I hope he has a fantastic career. If it don't quite work out for him at West Brom, there are a whole host of other clubs where he can go down, and if he's good enough, use it as a platform to bounce back up. So I think in terms of, and that's the one thing that's interested me, because as I say, I was asked this question a long time ago, and I'm disappointed that I've not seen a fair representation even in the lower leagues and in non-league. Listen, it's hard to make it a Premier League, we've all discussed that, that's evident, and obviously to get into the England side, even more difficult. But at non-league level, the lower leagues, I want to see more representation there, because you can't tell me that all these players that we're talking about who didn't quite make it at these top clubs, there are other clubs that are quite not at that standard. There's another platform for you to go and play there. And for the Asian community, I think we need to use people that are playing in the lower leagues and non-league as role models as well, because these people are being paid to play football, and all these years of dedication and hard work, they're being rewarded by having a platform where people pay to watch them play.
David in Somerset says, interestingly, just as Sanjay was ringing to say how far away his son had been scouted from, geography is way more important than ethnic background in football scouting. Try being from rural areas.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of texts coming in, 85058. Just to remind people that we've also got Jimmy Khan with us, who's an F8 Level 4 licensed coach, mentor, educator, also an ambassador for the Professional Football Scouts Association, and also now Zesh Rehman, who's the first British Asian to play in all 4 leagues in the UK and in the Premier League too, and he's the founder of the Zesh Rehman Foundation, which uses football to drive sports participation, community cohesion and social development. Sorry, it's a bit of a mouthful, and we have Rabina Shah with us as well today. Zesh, what do you make of what you've heard so far in this debate?
Well, I have to say, firstly, hello to Anwar. I've come across him a few times throughout my career. I think he's absolutely spot on. There's a lot of clubs and there's a lot of leagues and a lot of opportunities for not just the Asian community, but any kid that finds himself in the unfortunate position of being released to then go away and reinvent themselves, basically, and not fall short at that first hurdle and use their background and culture as an excuse to just stop. I think it's too easy. It's a cop-out just to say, well, I didn't make it because I'm Asian and that's the end of the journey now. There's many ways to go in.
And in the Sparkbrook area of Birmingham, the A34 stays closed because of an unsafe building just near to the junction with Henley Street. In Manchester, the M60 is heavy clockwise between junction 13 for Worsley and 14 at the M61, and that's after the van broke down earlier on. I'm Alan Joyce.
You can't predict the winter weather, but you can keep your car prepared with a free winter safety check at QuickFit. On tyres, brakes, servicing and more, you'll always get to quit today and drive away happy this winter. At participating centres only, excludes online, terms and conditions apply, see in store for details.
Talk Sport, available on all mobile devices.
So here it is.
Talk Sport.
Hawksby and Andy Jacobs here on Talk Sport, as you've been hearing throughout the day on Talk Sport. Fantastic send-off for big Cyrille Regis today.
Yes.
I think starting in the club today when all the first team squad were out and the manager paying their respects, and many of his great friends from the world of football and beyond, and his family marking his passing. Our own Alex Dibble was there. Good afternoon, Alex.
Yeah, good afternoon, Paul.
Yeah, look at the pictures today. It seems, it does really, people often say a celebration of, but it did kind of feel like that, really.
It did. It massively did. There was a private funeral earlier with just Cyrille's family and his closest friends and one or two former teammates as well. But then when everyone came back to the Hawthorns, the East Stand was open up and thousands upon thousands of West Bromwich Albion supporters and one or two other clubs, it has to be said, were here celebrating the life of Cyrille Regis. It was a wonderful, wonderful service. And then at the end, people filtered out and the former players, teammates and seems the great and the good from the world of football went down into one of the hospitality suites, and I've been speaking to a couple of people down there. Jason Roberts, his nephew, was speaking movingly to me about how he really inspired him to take up football and not give up when he doubted his own ability. And also, Paul, I was speaking to Ron Atkinson, who was of course Cyril's manager here at the Hawthorns for 3 years in the late 70s, early 80s, who managed him and saw so many of those wonderful goals on this pitch that I'm looking out onto now. And I started by asking Ron Atkinson, what did Cyrille as a man, not just as a player, but as a man, mean to him?
From a football point of view, and I've been lucky, I've had some terrific front players, he would always, if I was picking my best ever team, he would always be my number 9. Exciting, powerful, scored wonder goals, didn't score enough scruffy goals. I used to have to keep reminding him of that. So from a football point of view, phenomenal. Great player, should have got a lot more caps than he got. And as a chap, great bloke. Great bloke. I mean, I give him the supreme accolade the other day when people say about you're a good footballer, you get this, you get that. He was a great bloke. He was a phenomenal. Well, I did, if you like, the only altercation I had with him was when he put a polo neck on and didn't wear a collar and tie for the first game.
What did you say to him, do you remember?
I said, big man, proper players wear collars and ties for away games. Never again after that, no problem.
Nice words there.
Yeah, that's Ron Atkinson having a chat with Alex. And I take it now, so many of these people who've been at the Hawthorns will go off and they'll go off to the pub and they'll tell their sort of Cyrille stories. And it's often the case, isn't it? When you get a collection of people together, it's only when someone dies. I was at a mate's funeral earlier this year, and you look around, you think, oh, he would have loved this.
Yes.
And it's probably going to be a day he would have loved, because it'll be lots of football people, lots of people he played the game with and worked with, just sort of swapping stories, catching up.
And the thing about Cyrille Regis, I think you're entirely right. The thing about Cyrille is that so many people have Cyrille stories, because he was that kind of person. He always had time for everybody. I've lost count of the number of people I've spoken to who said, do you know what, there was a woman this morning, Paul, I was speaking to her. She said, I was managing an under-12s team and they won the league, but we couldn't afford trophies for them. So I rang up the club and I said, can you do anything? And Cyrille Regis shows up. Wow. I mean, that's the kind of guy that he was. He just had, and these stories aren't rare. I mean, it's remarkable that he was doing this kind of thing for everyone, and so everyone does have a Cyrille story. And actually, funnily enough, you mentioned about, wanting to appreciate these kind of guys whilst they're still here. Jason Roberts, who was speaking movingly at the stage in front of me just half an hour ago or so, was saying to Brendan Batson and those people who are still alive, he said thank you so much, because he wants to make that message clear before it's too late.
Alex, thanks for joining us.
No problem at all. Thanks, guys.
Alex Dibble there up at the Hawthorns for Cyrille Regis's memorial service. Other sad news, Paul Alcock has died, the former Premier League referee, of course, achieved a certain moment of infamy, didn't he, in that
yes.
push by Paolo Di Canio, but he's had he's had a very tough couple. He was at peace by Neil Ashton in the Sun last year. He's had a terrible fight with cancer, which sadly he lost today, so that was very sad news as well. It's Hawksby and Jacobs here on Talk Sport, and still to come this afternoon we will be joined in the studio by Max Beasley and chatting to the whistleblower from the Australian bid team, the inside track on those 2018 and 22 World Cup bids, and pretty shocking stuff in there. That's all to come in the next hour.
Get ready for more on Talk Sport with Betfair. Experience more drama. It's all down to this. More tension. Just seconds remain. More excitement. He's done it! Every weekend, Talk Sport is revved up and ready to bring you more. Get all the latest form and odds ahead of all the matches that matter. Get ready for more on Talk Sport with Betfair. Go to betfair.com. 18+gambleaware.org.
Were your hopes of a Spanish property left in ruins? Did your dream home never materialise? Thousands of British buyers like you have been left with nothing to show for their investment. We're reclaiming Spain, and if you were one of the many who paid a deposit on an off-plan
all of that access. What I'm trying to say is all of that access is great, but not something you get here generally.
Sometimes as the day goes on, some of the questions get a bit dafter. I think just to keep the players awake, they start asking sillier questions. So I don't know if they're going to be.
But they're looking for an angle, that isn't just, I'm sure if we, try our hardest, we're going to win the game. The usual cliches. So
hopefully Nat's got a few daft questions up his sleeve. We'll hear from him later on at that little press junket. We're going to talk some golf. Steve McMahon joins us. He's part of our coverage tonight of the Huddersfield Liverpool game, and lots more besides all the cover. But it's approaching 2:00. So let's get the sport with John Howick and the news with Victoria Ball.
Thanks, Paul. Coming up, tributes to Cyrille Regis.
And Laporte says bonjour to Manchester City in a club record deal.
Talk Sport.
An emotional service has been held at the Hawthorns in honour of former West Brom striker Cyrille Regis. Hundreds of fans and well-known names in football turned up to celebrate his life after his sudden death.